Welcome back, listeners. This is You Heard It Here First podcast. We're changing names every week. You never know what's going to happen, but you heard it here first. This is the You Heard It Here First podcast. This is Cody Martin alongside Eric Froschauer. Glad to be back. Glad to be here. Not a lot to talk about. Not a lot to talk about, but some very interesting topics to discuss. So Eric, let's look back at last week. Our prediction. You heard it here first. It was Matthew Wolff, Victor Hovland, top 20. Neither happened. Both made the cut, but definitely disappointing. Thought they had a little bit more in them. But first week on the PGA Tour as professionals, high expectations. It was tough shoes to fill. Let's. I guess we'll start with the Travelers Championship. Let's look back. Ches Reavie, 11-year drought, hasn't won in 11 years. What are your thoughts on the Travelers?
Yeah, just to touch on Hovland real quick. I think we discussed it briefly a little bit last week. He won the silver medal at the U.S. Open. My prediction, and you probably remember this, was that he might struggle a little bit at his first tournament. He was picked quite a bit in our pool, actually the top pick in our pool, which shocked me. So from what I thought would happen, it wasn't too far off. Overall tournament, this is always a tournament where under par is going to be anywhere between 16 and 20 for the winner. Would have liked to have seen Sucher maybe pull out the victory. He gave it a valiant effort, but Ches minus 17. I think definitely Sucher on Saturday definitely struggled a little bit, but it was an interesting tournament and one of those tournaments where your second or third tier guys seem to have a chance more than others throughout the year. So,
yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's a very short course relative to the PGA Tour, and I was watching Saturday, and Sucher and Bradley and Reavie were all kind of hanging around. Well, actually, Sucher had a comfortable lead, and he went double, and it came back, and I think he had a 4-shot lead, and came back to level with the second place guy, and was that Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday, and Reavie birdied 8 of his last 11 holes to shoot 63, I think.
Yeah.
And it was crazy that I don't think I've ever seen a leaderboard change that much, where you had this Sucher guy, this unknown guy that even for avid golfer fans, they didn't even know who he was, didn't know where he came from, hadn't heard of him. He's played in like 40 PGA Tour events in the last 10 years. So not a regular guy, obviously. And he's got a 4-shot lead. And we're like, man, this guy's like totally in control. And fast forward 3 hours, and Ches Reavie's got, I think, a 5-shot lead going into Sunday. I mean, it was like complete flip of the leaderboard to where a guy was in control, falls back, and then another guy gets hot and makes 8 birdies. And basically the tournament was nearly over going into Sunday with a 5-shot lead, or whatever it was, 5 or 6-shot lead. You got to play pretty bad to give that lead up unless someone shoots a 62 or 63. So, anyways, Travelers, not a big event, but still a PGA Tour event. Ches Reavie, congrats, 11-year drought. Can't even imagine that. 11 years ago, what were we doing? What were we? We were still in high school. Are you kidding me?
No, it's insane. And, I think hats off to Reavie for shooting the 63 on Saturday. I would say Sucher lost the tournament, but, on the same token, Reavie went out and won it for sure with that streak of birdies that you mentioned. So, like you said, kind of a smaller tournament, but a tournament nonetheless. And now we move on to, Detroit Golf Club next week. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's hard to say and give a lot of input on this tournament because no one's really ever played. I mean, I'm sure some of these guys have played this golf course, but it's the PGA Tour has never played at Detroit Golf Club. It is a Donald Ross design, which, as golfers know, Donald Ross is one of the most famed architects in the golf world. And so he has a very unique style. So there's certain guys that prefer Donald Ross designs over others. And so I think that is a key factor this week. And I don't even know how you would look into that. Maybe you look at guys that have played well at Donald Ross designs. I don't know anything about this course. I know it's a decent field. Dustin Johnson's playing. Ricky Fowler is Rocket Mortgage ambassador, so he's obligated to play. Joaquin Neiman. There's a few other big names that are playing, but I think it's gonna be an interesting week. There's a few big name guys, and after that, I think it's gonna feel. I mean, there's gonna be guys that people have never heard of on the top of the leaderboard. I mean, I'm looking right here. You've got Matsuyama, Gary Woodland, Ryan Moore, Kisner, Fowler, Ches Reavie. And after that, I mean, you've got on the power rankings, number 15 is Brian Stewart. I mean,
yeah, definitely a lighter field.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
And one other interesting thing I'm seeing now is that I didn't know this, but the workers are actually threatening to strike before the tournament starts on Thursday, because the employees are trying to make it a PGA Tour caliber golf course. And evidently, some of the workers who are part of some union, are threatening to strike if they're not, compensated, or I don't know what the deal is. But anyways, a lot of interesting things going on, especially for a lighter tournament. No one knows anything about the course, seemingly. Seems like there's some kind of legal issues. And I think it's another truly kind of wide open tournament, as you mentioned, with just looking at the power rankings, some names that you wouldn't expect to be in there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the power ranks and you start with 15. You got Brian Stewart. Couldn't tell you one thing about the guy. Alex, I just took a Prue, 14. Martin Laird. I mean, this is crazy. So, but my point is it's a very top heavy field, and I expect one of the big names to win. But don't be surprised if there's a guy in the top 5 on Sunday afternoon that you've never heard of.
Yeah, I think you're going to have I think come Sunday you're going to have a Mackenzie Hughes or a Martin Laird or someone in the top 5, having a shot or a run at the championship.
No, for sure. And still sticking with the Rocket Mortgage, Chip McDaniel, shout out UK Golf. The kid played in the U.S. Open. He went through the locals and the sectional qualifiers, goes to the U.S. Open, makes the cut, doesn't play great on the weekend, but still, hats off to him, makes the cut, takes the red eye to Connecticut, does the Monday qualifier for the Travelers, qualifies, so gets into the Travelers, plays pretty decent on the weekend or on Thursday, Friday, gets paired with Brooks Koepka on Saturday, shoots, I think, 2 under on Saturday, doesn't play great on Sunday, but anyways, makes the cut. And then he actually got a sponsor exemption thanks to his brother, Toddy Mack, who was beyond an advocate for Chip to get a sponsor exemption at the Rocket Mortgage. He even got Robert Dameron, who is a Golf Channel employee analyst, on board with this. I don't even know what you want to call it, a rally behind Chip. And I think there's a little bit of controversy behind this. With he's Monday qualified 4 times, I think, maybe 5 times this year, and last year TJ Vogel did it 9 times, and I think Chip's getting a little bit more publicity than TJ got last year. But anyways, Chip's playing very well. He's a young up and coming star. I think he got a sponsor exemption this week. He actually teed off on the first hole of the Monday qualifier this week and got a phone call, or someone called him off the course saying, "Hey, Rocket Mortgage decided to give you a sponsor exemption. You can leave." Kind of a cool story. Small town kid,
Oh, very cool.
homegrown swing, but nice kid. Played at University of Kentucky, my alma mater. So it's always cool to see kids that you went to school with or went to the same school have success. Now there's a little bit of animosity here, I guess, with the Twitterverse, I guess you want to call it. It's getting a little bit out of control. I mean, Matt Wolf, Victor Hovland, they're on another level, and people are trying to put Chip McDaniel in that same category. I'm not buying it, but time will tell, as always.
Yeah, and it looks like there's also a Wes Homan from Cincinnati.
Wes Homan, that's a good friend of mine. Shout out Wes Homan.
35 years old, into the
I didn't know
tournament.
Wes Homan was in the field.
In the tournament, baby. So
Man,
maybe I got a pull for Wes, and I don't know if Damon's in the tournament this week, but it sounds like I got another favorite.
man, Wes Homan, what a guy.
He's
You
in.
know what? I actually might make a FanDuel lineup with Wes Homan as the cornerstone.
There you go.
I mean, he's a great guy. He really is.
Doc Redman also made it. He was the 2017 USAM champ. So, anyways, some interesting notes about this week's tournament for sure.
Wes Homan is an interesting guy. I've traveled with him before. We've shared rooms, and he's awesome. I thoroughly enjoy spending time with Wes Homan. He's one of the guys that I would cheer for no matter what. He's got 2 kids. He's got a luxury car dealership, I believe in Arizona, in Florida, or maybe just Florida. He's got a CBD plant in Ohio. I mean, he's got his hands in a lot of places, and he's playing professional golf. Gets into the Rocket Mortgage Open or whatever you want to call it. Really cool story. Wes Homan, I didn't know that until literally just now. He's the man.
Awesome. Good deal.
All right, enough golf. We gotta get to our one and done pick. We haven't even mentioned this. Interesting week. Couple big names, a lot of small names. Really, the only big name we have left on the board is Ricky Fowler. Coincidentally, Rocket Mortgage. What is it called? He's an advocate. He's a sponsor. He's a spokesperson for Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, ambassador.
That's the word I was looking for. Do you go that route? That's a sort of a unique scenario where you've got one guy as the ambassador of the sponsor of the tournament. I think no. So who do we go with this week? Who are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't think Ricky's certainly not a bad pick, but I think he's one that you save for maybe a little more of a tournament with a little bigger purse. I'm thinking maybe this week is a Snedeker or even a Kisner. I don't think Woodland, but someone along those lines. If I'm really reaching, I would go Mackenzie Hughes. So those are the top 3 guys on my mind right now.
Wow, Mackenzie Hughes, that's a reach.
You heard it here first.
Gotta be honest.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, guys.
I mean, the Ziegenbachs are talking over here, boys. You heard it here first.
Man, that is, if that's not a you heard it here first, I don't know what is. Mackenzie Hughes, shout out Mackenzie Tour. Shout out the Score app. I liked him the day I saw him. Anyways, my pick, one and done. Joaquin Niemann, whatever his name is.
Wow.
That's my pick.
And he says Mackenzie Hughes is a reach.
Yeah, Niemann played well last week. Just take a look at his Sunday round. a little more established player on the PGA Tour. Might be a stretch. I'm not even gonna call you heard it here first. I've got a you heard it first. I've got a you heard it here first coming up in a bit. But moving on, NBA, couple interesting, really one very interesting topic of conversation. But before we go any further, let's touch on Zion Williamson. First pick in the NBA draft, going to the Pelicans. Pelicans making big, big moves in the offseason. Young starting lineup. Does Zion have the impact in the NBA that people are expecting, hoping for, you whatever you want to call it? Does he live up to the hype?
Man, that's a tough question. I think to answer. Um, I'm not sure what I personally am expecting of him. Um, I don't think it will be at a level of, say, a LeBron. I don't think he's quite at that level, and I don't mean any offense to Zion or his capability or to undermine what he can do. I just don't think he's quite as dynamic. I think a lot of it depends on his shooting, and if he can continue to kind of develop that mid range game. But I certainly think for the NBA, this is obviously exciting. It's as excited as I think a lot of people have been since LeBron has come out. Um, but it will be very compelling. It is very compelling to see where he ends up, how New Orleans develops, and over these next 4 or 5 years, if he's able to mesh there. If not, it'll be interesting to see where he eventually does end up and how his career plays out.
For sure. And I think his expectations are in that LeBron sort of category, which is about as high as it gets. So I think the only outcome of this is that he underachieves because I don't think there's any way to overachieve. And so I think that's sort of a tough spot for him to be in, and he's aware of that. But he's on a young team, and team wise, I think their expectations are not crazy high. He wasn't. It's not like he was going to Golden State or the Lakers or the Knicks to where the fan base has these unrealistic expectations. I think New Orleans is not known as an NBA town.
Well,
Yes, there's excitement.
They've got the worst name in NBA history. So let's go ahead
I
and get
mean,
that out.
Pelicans, are you serious? Could you have a less threatening animal as a mascot? Let's
Atrocious.
just spend like 20 seconds thinking about less threatening mascots than a pelican.
I mean, they could have been the Flamingos. I don't know. It's a head scratcher for me.
Is there a mascot that you can think? I mean, a duck. I'll be honest, a duck is up there.
Maybe a panda. It's another one that comes to mind.
Is there a team that has a panda mascot?
I mean, why would you? They wouldn't do that. I mean, this
Well,
is
but yes, but the Ducks is a well-known mascot,
it is. But at least there's some history with the Ducks. Pelican,
and they have cool colors. The
yeah,
the mascot's a cool mascot. I mean, a pelican. I mean, it's all he does is catch fish.
yeah. Like the Saints is a great name. They have some history, and there's a reason that they're named the Saints, and there's a lot of heritage and history there behind that name. The Pelicans is a very
So it's a little weak.
it's a little weak.
I have to agree with you on this one.
Anyways, back to the key material.
Yes, that's
A little bit of a divergent there, but that's okay.
yeah, it's okay. Let's touch on Taco Falls just for like a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take the floor here. Big bet by me. Bet one of my good friends, Cody, Logan. A couple months.
Shout out Willoughby.
Shout out Dub. Bet him I don't know how much at the time. It could have been 50. I'm not sure that Taco Fall would get drafted. I was very sure of this. You know, we're talking about a 7'6" guy who,
7'6".
yeah, 7'6", while not very mobile, is nonetheless 7'6", and I really did think that there was an NBA team that would take a chance on him in the draft. Looks like the Celtics did end up going after him, anyways, with kind of a free agent contract. But I was surprised that he didn't get taken. I really thought that at least someone would take a stab at him. But I guess, if you're one of those teams, you figure you can get the value after the draft and not have to guarantee him some money. That was probably the situation, and that's probably what happened. So.
I don't know. I completely agree. And Zion Williamson played against Taco Falls in the NCAA tournament, and he made it a different game. And I thought for sure, even you could solely look at that game where you've got two of the top three draft picks in this year's draft going up against Taco Falls, and he made a big difference. You just, even though he's maybe not the most athletic person you've ever seen, he's 7'6". When he puts his hands up, he's over 10 feet tall. I mean, it's just put him in the paint for 3 seconds, get him out. In the paint, get him out. He's gonna make a difference. It's
Yeah,
just,
for
and
sure.
I hope he's gonna have a short career, but that's because of health issues and knee issues and whatnot. But I think a team will find a place for him. And it might be 10, 15 minutes a game, but I still think I think will have some impact in the NBA. Is my
Yeah, and I think a team that wants a little bit of, I hate to say this, but just a team that needs a little bit of a news story, right? You think of your smaller market teams who just want to garner a little bit of publicity and celebrity. Hey, here's a guy who's 7'6". He impacts the game. He's different. But man, him not being invited to the green room, yeah, definitely a
It's
hard
tough.
night. Definitely a hard night for me on Thursday, and condolences to me and everything that I went through this weekend as a result of that travesty.
Yeah, I feel for you, and I know a
Yeah,
lot of
thank you.
listeners do.
I
I think
appreciate
I
that.
think a few of our listeners were in the same boat as you. They
Yeah,
were kind of
can't blame them.
all in on Taco Falls. It's hard to pass up a guy at 7'6". I mean,
It is.
he's 7'6".
It is Central Florida. You just go with him. You just do it. But
If
anyways,
he was 7'5", I would say, you know what, he's not that tall, but 7'6", that's the breaking point. We're like, okay, this guy's for real. He can make an impact.
yeah,
Anyways, let's move on to what I believe is the most interesting topic we have to discuss tonight, and it is surrounding the one and only, the man, I don't even know what word to describe him. I don't even know if there's a word worthy of describing him. Coach Calipari, head men's basketball coach at University of Kentucky. In let's see, Jay Billis came out with a comment saying that these guys that are getting drafted in the first round, correct me if I'm wrong, something along the lines of, it doesn't matter where these kids go to school. And he's talking about the Zion Williamson, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, John Wall, Jason Tatum, guys like this where it is irrelevant where they go to school. They're going to get drafted in the first round. Coach Cal, you know, typical fashion, doesn't like it, has beef, hosts a press conference, seemingly just talk about Jay Bills' comments. Seems a little over the top, not going to lie. So, Eric, I know you've got some cold hard facts for us. Throw them at our listeners.
yeah. I spent at least
Give it to them.
I spent at least 20 minutes on this. So I hope this is the deciding factor in any of your arguments with your peers about this issue. First of all, looking back on the past 10 years of recruiting classes, so going from 2019 through 2009, UK has brought in 22% of the top 15 players between 2009 and 19. Duke.
So let's take that from a percentage, because that's sort of a hard number to digest.
22%. That's almost 1 in 4 of the top 15 are coming to UK.
And so in the last 10 years, they've had, was it 33?
That's correct.
33 of the top 15 recruits. So that's in 10 years, 150 recruits. They've had 33 of those 150 guys. They have gone to UK.
That's just the top 15. We can cap it off at 20. That's just where I capped it. Then you go to Duke. Duke's at 21 players, or 14%. And then Kansas, who I thought would be a little higher. Kansas only had 9. They're only at 6%. So I say all this to highlight the fact that, yes, I do think a lot of the Kentucky players have had a lot of success. That's hard to argue. You look at the John Walls and DeMarcus Cousins and Devin Booker, and I can go on with that. But at the same time, almost 1/4 of the top 15 guys have come there. And I just capped the research off at that point. So to say that it is because of the school or the coaching, I think is a bit of a stretch. I do think it's Cal being Cal and giving himself a little more credit than he probably deserves. But nonetheless, I think a lot of these guys they've recruited are extremely talented and very good players. And same with Duke. I think Duke. There's a lot of guys in the NBA right now representing Duke as well. And anyways, I just wanted to highlight the fact that the base or your pool of players has been larger, and therefore the likelihood of someone panning out or getting that second contract is much higher.
Of course it is. And I don't know who's listening. It might be nobody. I don't care who you root for. It makes no difference to me. Coach Cal is a certified turd.
Certified clown.
Turd, clown, loser, moron. Don't care what word you use. He's certified in whatever bad word you have to use. That's it. Plain and simple. He is a phenomenal recruiter, and that is shown with the statistics you just gave. He has gotten over 20% of the top 15 recruits in the country since he took over UK. That is crazy good. I'll give him all the credit in that category. However, when it comes to coaching and it comes to his players first mentality, I don't buy it. And in this interview, he kind of touched on how during the season, it's about winning. And when the season's over, it's about the players. It's about the individual players and what their future looks like. No, it's not. It's about Coach Cal. And there's something about him drives me nuts. And I don't like him. I don't like him at all. I'm not afraid to say it. Coach Cal, I genuinely hope you hear this podcast one day. Truly, I truly do. You heard it here first. Coach Cal listening to YHIHF one day. He's gonna hear this. He's gonna have beef. He actually might host a press conference just to discuss the beef that he has with YHIHF.
Yeah, he might, and I agree. I think there's just something about, I don't know, the press conferences and the way that he handles them that I really struggle with and always have. And again, it's not to say that they haven't had great players, because it's hard to argue that, but it's just the persona and the what he puts off. I did shake his hand one time at daily mass.
Yuck.
Good for him, but
Did you
I don't
wash your
know.
hands?
I know I didn't, and I don't know. I was just in shock, I guess. A man with the morals of him. Yeah, it was just I don't know. I didn't expect to see him there. I was kind of taken aback and didn't really know what to do in the moment. But nonetheless, I really, this is kind of making me. It's just changing my mood a little bit. I think we should move on to the next topic. I think both of us are a little
I
callous.
agree. I think we're getting a little down. We're getting a little salty. We're taking this down a dark path.
Yeah,
And
and
thanks
we
to
don't we
Coach
don't need to go
Cal.
there.
No, we don't need to go there. And that's what Coach Cal does. That's what he does. And
Yeah, if you're a recruit listening out there, listen to us. We know what we're doing. He doesn't make the right choice.
exactly.
Go to
And
Duke. Go to
the
Indiana.
right choice. This is I believe this to the core. The right choice. It's not to go to Duke. It's not to go to IU, which happen to be our two favorite schools. It's to go anywhere but Kentucky. That's it. Don't don't go to Duke because it's Duke. Don't go to IU because it's IU. Go anywhere but UK. It's
Amen.
bad news. Coach Cal is bad news. It's plain and simple. He's nothing but bad news. He's a scumbag. That's all he is. You heard it here first.
All right. Yeah, we're really getting down. All
All
right.
right.
Next.
Next topic. Holy moly. We touched on it last week. First, the inaugural or the pilot or the first episode of Holy Moly Ever aired last Thursday. And I'll be
This is
honest,
this is all you, by the way.
this is all me. I watched the entire episode and I'm a little ashamed that I watched the whole episode. However, I had it on demand. Got to fast forward the commercials. Took me about 30 minutes. It was underwhelming. And now that doesn't mean that I'm not auditioning for season two. Because I promise you I'm auditioning for season two. And I truly believe I have very good odds. Let's set the odds um, for me getting on season two. I'm gonna set it now. This is assuming that season two happens, which after watching episode one, I'm not very optimistic. But if season two happens, I'm giving myself 5-1 odds of getting on the show. What do you think, Eric?
5 points pretty high. I'll go 51.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Somewhat.
All right. I'll go 15-1.
15-1. Wow.
Yeah, it is hard to get on those shows.
Agree.
5-1's pretty good odds. You're talking 5 marbles. One of the marbles is you. Pretty good odds. Uh, I'm thinking 15-1's more appropriate.
I agree. So if anyone taking bets, placing bets, you can reach me on my cell phone. If you want my cell phone, you're not. But I'm willing to take bets. Let's set it 10-1. Find a happy medium. 10-1. Cody Martin, Holy Moly, season two. Anyways, season one, episode one, the premiere. It was interesting. The participants in episode one were not what I expected. I was expecting these putt advocates that play putt every week, and that's even what they said during the show. And they interviewed them, and one of the girls was like, "Oh yeah, I love golf. I've been on golf my whole life. My grandpa would take me out golfing, and he would every once in a while let me hit his last putt when it was really close to the hole, and that's my golf experience." I'm like, "Oh well, you must be good because you've hit a bunch of 6-inch putts. Obviously, know what you're doing." Not. First hole of the season. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube. Holy moly! I promise. If you type in "holy moly Asian chick" or "holy moly windmill," you will get the video you want to see. This girl hits a ball through the windmill. She's got to follow the ball through the windmill. she, she gets to the windmill. She's timing it up. She's watching it go round and round and round. You can see her eyes. She's really focused. She's timing it up. There she is. Jumps through and just gets annihilated by the wind. I mean, she literally gets thrown off the hole into the tulips. If you don't believe me, look it up. Fair enough. Gets out of the tulips. She's resilient. Gets out of the tulips. Goes to the second windmill. Okay? There's 2 windmills. Goes to the second windmill. Same thing. Gets to the windmill. Sizes it up. Gets real close. Is watching it go round and round. Timing it up. Same thing. Jumps through. You think she's through? Nope. Gets even worse. Gets hit by the blade. Gets thrown into the wall. Back into the tulips. The wall of the windmill falls off. She breaks the windmill. Finally, she gets up. She's limited. She's out. But those 2-3 minutes of the show was well worth it. I'm hoping episode 2 is surpasses what episode 1 had. After that, it was sort of anticlimactic. Girl 1 kind of came out of nowhere, dedicated to, I don't know, whoever, boyfriend, the crowd, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Great job. $25,000. Kind of nice. I could use 25K right now. What about you?
Fans, I'm just telling you, if you have not tuned into the show, and after that unbelievable description of what we all missed, including myself, Cody, when's the next episode? When can we all, get a piece of this action?
Thursday night, 8:00.
You heard it here first.
Square.
No pun intended. I didn't even mean to say that. I did. You heard it here first. Thursday night, let's all be there. Holy moly, Steph Curry. In no mouthpiece, as far as I'm aware, included in this show, but
no mouthpiece.
Wouldn't be surprised if he's chewing that and directing the show at the same time. So anyways, I'm not the biggest fan, but I can maybe make some time or carve out some time this Thursday. Let's all make sure we do that. That way we can have a meaningful conversation come next week.
Well, I'm trying to get the ratings up. We want season 2 to be here because you want our fans, our listeners want to see the co-host of You Heard It Here First on Holy Moly. It's what they want, and I'm going to give it to them.
I think if you're going to apply, I might as well apply too. We might as well give ourselves double chance.
And now that you've got this nice training aid, by the way, Dave Pell's little triangle putting aid, 2 marbles. Look it up, man. Amazon, $30.
Look out!
It's a game changer. I'm not gonna lie. Happy Father's Day, Eric.
Yes, absolutely, and thanks to Cody for directing my wife toward a gift that was suitable for me on that Father's Day. Anyways, I don't know how to transition from Holy Moly. Any other thoughts or topics tonight that you wanted to touch on?
Well, I think it's only fair to bring in the World Cup. I don't want to disregard it. I'm not a big soccer fan. However, I prefer to watch the Women's World Cup over the Men's World Cup. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the U.S. has a chance, and in women's and the men's, they really have no chance. Today was a pretty exciting game. The women played a tough Spain team. I think Spain was a team that could have given them a run for their money, and they did. I mean, from my understanding, I got to see bits and pieces of it. I saw one of their goals. It was a penalty kick. From my understanding, they were the only 2 goals the U.S. scored were penalty kicks. It was by the same girl. Is that right?
Yeah, Rapinoe. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at that, and I'm not as well versed in soccer as you are, but 2 penalty kicks, winning 2-1, that's got to be sort of a unique situation. That seems like Spain might have outplayed the U.S. in terms of the whole game, but just made 2 stupid mistakes in the box where they got 2 penalty kicks.
Yeah, I think that's definitely rare where this happens. The first first PK, I mean, looking at that, it could have gone either way. The second one, trying to look at exactly what happened here. Haven't seen the highlights of that one yet, but I think this is going to be a different tournament for the U.S. from here on out, and we saw that today. We're in the knockout rounds now. We're not playing Sisters of the Poor anymore from Thailand. We're not going to pummel anyone 13-0. So I really am interested to see what happens. I think the U.S. Obviously, I'm cheering for them, but I think everyone's out to get them. So I think they've got a target on their back, and it will be, fun to see how this develops and fun to follow. So Women's World Cup, like you said, I think is maybe one of the most underrated events in sports, and it always gets some great attention.
I agree. Yeah. I really agree. It's always nice to see a U.S. team being competitive on the world level.
Agreed.
And there's not many events that allow that to be shown. You've got the Olympics, obviously, and that's about it. I mean, it's the World Cup and the Olympics in terms of U.S. versus the world, or the world versus the world. It's really cool. It's a really cool event. Anyways, U.S. women's soccer team, national club, whatever you want to call it, Elite Eight. When's the next game? Thursday? Saturday? Friday?
Later this week. I'm trying to remember exactly when that takes place.
Later this week, guys. Check out your local listings. U.S. later
Looks
this week.
like on Friday.
Ooh, little Friday evening game. Is it Friday evening? Is it Friday morning?
I need to look, but they play France.
They're in Paris.
Home team will not be an easy game.
Ooh, they're playing France.
Yes.
Ooh, it's gonna be a tough one.
I will say Megan Rapinoe needs to do something about the hair.
Yeah, that's got chill.
Yeah, that's got to. She's got to relax there.
A little much. What time's the game? What time's what do you call it? Is it kickoff? It's not kickoff, is it?
Yeah, no, it is. You've got it right, but I don't have the exact time right now. I'll have to.
Let's just call it noon Eastern. It won't be earlier than noon Eastern.
Right.
So we'll call it noon Eastern. But check your local listings. U.S. Women's National Team.
Absolutely.
Facing the host country, the almighty French women.
That's right.
Parlez bleu English. Is that what you say? I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that means do you speak English? And they always say no. So go USA. Cheering for you all the way. No rhyme intended, I guess. Let's any last second comments? Anything to add on what we've discussed, what we haven't discussed? Coach Cal, scumbag, certified loser. Chip McDaniel, maybe upcoming star, maybe not. If you're into FanDuel, put him in your lineup. Just saying. Probably gonna make the cut. He's pretty solid. Eric, what do you got?
No, the only thing to add, I saw Giannis took home the MVP.
Big news.
Haven't touched on that. I don't know. It didn't strike me as something I was really surprised about, but also at the same time I was a little surprised for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. He doesn't feel like maybe the traditional MVP candidate that I'm used to. I don't feel like he was maybe as dominant as some of the other MVP candidates that we've had. But certainly deserving. Not taking away from him at all. But that's just kind of the initial gut feeling I had. In terms of other, sports news, shout out to the Reds. We're finally on a better trail here, on a better path, and I think hopefully we can just continue to win some games. We've, as everyone knows, it's been quite a struggle for the Redlegs, and it'd be nice just to cheer for a winning team every now and then. So that's all I've got from my side. From McKinney, signing off. Cody, your last thoughts?
No, I think I touched everything we needed to touch, and we've got to slow next few weeks. Well, take that back. next weekend, Wimbledon. Here we go. Dominic
Finally here.
Thiem. You heard it here first. Dominic Thiem, Wimbledon champion. That's all I gotta say.
Cody is stepping out with the team prediction.
Hashtag
Man,
team.
on the team train.
On the team train. Red Legs, 6 games back, 76 games into the season.
Now, are they
That's not bad
how
for the
many
Reds.
games are they back in the wild card, though?
Ooh, that's
That's
less than 6.
gotta be less
Is
than 6, right?
my prediction. 4.
4 games
4
back.
games.
I mean, we're
Yep.
not out of it yet.
We're not out of it. We're midway through the season, or almost midway through the season.
So, continue to have faith.
Continue to have faith.
FC Cincinnati not playing so well. Got to be honest.
No. Well, it's not even worth talking. We shouldn't even admit that we have a soccer team right now. They can't even score a goal.
A bit of a downer, but
the Reds are doing good things. Yasiel Puig he's hitting a lot of dingers. He's showing up. He's finally stepping up.
They are.
But thanks again, listeners, tuning in. Can't thank you enough. This is, we're going places, guys.
It's an honor and a privilege to.
It is.
Share our thoughts with you every night, and Cody always
every night, once a week.
Yeah. The beers start talking to me after a while, but anyways, always just an unbelievable privilege to sit here and dispel our thoughts and feelings with the whole world. Essentially, I think
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're on YouTube, guys.
Yeah,
tune in. YHIHF signing off. Thanks again. Until next time. Deuces.